You know, I wanted to kind of summarize what you said earlier because I think it's so valuable. This idea that you know you think of value to your user first because that's what's going to drive participation, which is kind of the engine underneath these communities, right? I wanted to go to this other thing. You also kind of talked about you manage what you measure, and these companies, if they don't set up metrics that are all about community, rather they're based on their traditional metrics, it's harder to kind of get a thriving community around there. You recently did a study of about 140 companies that are deploying communities, what they've learned, what surprises they had. Just wanted you to share a little bit about like what surprised you about that study? What did you learn about in that study that kind of surprised you?
There's a couple of things that surprised me. One is the measurements that I told you. There's a mismatch between measurements and the goals that they set, and so you know they're confused. Another surprise that I found is the issue of scalability of social media programs. Okay, so if you have a large company like Bank of America or like Walmart or companies of that magnitude, right? For them to have communities that truly moves the needle in their company, they have to have huge communities, and yet they don't. You know, I did the research on Bank of America, which is all based on public information. They were not part of the study, but I thought it was a great example. They have a community. It's a nice-looking community. It's well developed and all of that. They have 20,000 members. It's a small business community. 20,000 members, if you look at their annual report, Bank of America must have between 10 and 11 million small business customers.
Right.
That's not going to move the needle. There's two types of evolutions of community. The first one is it starts as skunk work somewhere, and then eventually it ends up in marketing if it's successful. Okay. The second type is the one that we're starting to see now increasingly, is it starts as a corporate initiative, from the get-go. Okay. Now, and they still oftentimes, primarily through our research, report into marketing. Okay. Now, what we found is that there's three types of CMOs. Okay, there's those that don't get it. They think, oh, here is another channel to to spam my people with, and those fail really, really fast, right? Then there's those that do get it, but not quite. And so what they do is they underfund it. It stays in pilot forever and ever, and it never delivers the results that they want to.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is,
they don't support it enough, and then they wonder why they're not getting
That's
the
exactly
results.
right. So you ask them, so how you have communities? How is it going? Oh, yeah, I'm a firm believer in it, but I'm not seeing the big changes on my dashboard. Well, are you spending according to your other programs? Right. Oh no, the spend doesn't come up there either compared to my TV advertising.
Right.
Of course it doesn't come in, right?
Just really quickly, how do you frame that out? I know it's different with each company, but roughly what should people be thinking about in terms of allocating budget to support a thriving community? I mean, how do you help people think about what they should prepare for in terms of funding?
Well, they should be willing to look at those programs just as they are looking at other marketing programs. And so
television ad buys, things like that.
That's right. So going back to the Bank of America example, right? Another thing that I found out is that for them, a new small business account is worth $100. If you refer me, I open up an account, you get $50, I get $50, right? So if they want to increase their number of small businesses by 0.5%, that's 500,000 new accounts, okay? That's worth to them $50 million, right? They will drop that, I'm sure. I'm not sure since I don't work with them. But, they will drop that, with a blink of an eye in TV advertising. But I'm sure they didn't spend $50 million on their community. Now, what if they would spend $50 million on their community? They could buy every small business association in America, or at least do deep partnerships with them. Yes. So that's the scale. Now, all that being said, there are examples of communities where the cost is virtually nothing, right? I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the Fisketeers.
No, I'm not.
Fisketeers is a community that was developed by Fiskars. Fiskars are scissors. And they're high-end scissors, Northern European. And one day they decided, we want to build a community. And what they did is they went and recruited 3 passionate scrapbookers.
Yeah.
Okay. And they said, would you like to start an ambassador program? And how would you call yourself? And they said, we'll call ourselves Fisketeers. And they paid those 3 original ones. And then Those people had a close community with a group blog, and they could invite other people to become Fisketeers. And when a group joined the Fisketeers, you know, they got a scissors with different colors than what you could get in the store, and the Fisketeer number engraved on the blade. Nice. Okay, so I'm Fisketeer 256 or something. But you had to speak with one of those original ones about your motivations and all of that before you could join the program.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So there was exclusivity.
It was exclusivity, all of that, and they organized all kinds of, you know, activities in the stores, and, you know, demos and scrapbooking kind of parties and stuff like that. And they had a goal of having 250 Fisketeers in the first 6 months. They beat that in 48 hours. Okay. They now have 5,000 Fisketeers. They had a goal of increasing sales by 10%. They increased it by 300%. They had a goal of increasing chatter online by 10%. They increased it by 600%. Now, the best part of all of that is that now that their program is one of their main marketing programs, right, is paid for by the big box stores. You know, so you can find those stories of companies that are truly moving the needle without the traditional budgets. And I'm convinced that over time, if you do it right, if you externalize your business processes to do them with your customers instead of at them or for them, right? Over time, your cost of doing business, whatever it is, whether it's customer support or whether it's, you know, product innovation, will come down. Right. But initially, you should be willing to look at it from a staffing point of view, from a financial point of view and all that. You should be willing to look at it like a traditional program.